实我就是临时用过，我试过的。
Hi everyone, welcome to day 6, our final day of the Yoga Avec Moi Global Nutrition Conference. We are so excited to have you here.
好，今天我们真的好开心，因为这是我们联谊瑜伽第6天，全球营养峰会的第6天了，所以真的很开心哦。
Today we have Dr. Dorothy Dexter with us, and she's going to talk to us about the psychology of nutrition. And Dr. Dorothy might be the only speaker that I asked her to present a very specific process, because she has shared this process with me before and I thought it was so helpful, and I just really wanted an opportunity to record it for not only for us to have it to replay over and over and over and over again.
今天呢，我们邀请的是 Dorothy 医生，然后他其实是我们在这里唯一有机会能够听到他，他是唯一一位我们邀请他做一个单独的具体的这个分享的话题，所以我们将会有机会把这个录下来，然后一遍一遍的去听去学习。
So we're going to start with a centering practice. So if everyone could sit in a comfortable seated posture, and with your spine straight, hands on your feet and your thighs, and with your sit bones, heart, and head all in one line.
我们一起来做一个放松的练习。首先，大家把脚平放，然后手放到膝盖上，然后保持我们整个脊柱笔直。当然，就是要找一个舒服的姿势。
And focus on your inhales and on your exhales.
关注于自己的，聚焦于自己的呼吸。
And drop your attention on your heart for a second, and just focus on there for the remainder of the time.
现在，请把你的注意力集中在心脏上。
We pause our attention on our heart so that it can sync up with our brain waves, and together This creates a heart-brain coherence, and it settles us and allows us to enter a universal rhythm.
当我们把我们的注意力集中在心脏的时候，我们就可以观察到，我们的大脑，同时和我们的心脏一起来跳动，同时呢，融入到宇宙的这个运转的韵律中。
And as you focus on your heart, just focus your breath, your inhales and your exhales on your heart.
仍然把你的注意力集中在你的心脏上，集中在你的呼吸上。
The abbreviation of yoga avec moi is YUM. And YUM is the sound of the heart chakra. 联谊瑜伽的英文缩写形式是 YAM， 其实是心瑜伽里面心轮的声音。So for our close of our last day of the conference, we want to make sure that our hearts are all in sync with one another.
在我们此次峰会的最后一天，我们希望我们的心能够把所有这些连接在一起。
The heart is the place where we feel, where we have universal love, love for all different kinds of people.
爱，其实是聚焦于我们的心的，我们心的这种爱是可以全球范围内的。
是一种博爱。
嗯。
So in different parts of our bodies, we have our love for different things, like love for our family, love for our lovers. But the heart is the love for all of humanity, of the rest of the world.
我们身体的各个部位都有爱，有的是爱我们的家人，有的是爱我们的爱人，但心呢是爱全世界的各种人类、各种种族、各种民族。
So for your heart to be pure, for it to be clear, is super important.
所以我们的心保持纯洁，清净是非常重要的。
It is also the throne of the divine.
同时它也是神圣之冠。
就是皇帝的座椅是什么？
宝座，
宝座，
神圣宝座，
神圣的宝座。So whenever you're ready, bringing your palms in front of your hands, keeping your eyes closed, and begin rubbing them very vigorously until you generate some heat. And whenever you're ready, cupping your eyes. And in the palm of your hands, just blink open your eyes. And then opening your fingertips a little bit and blink it open some more. And then whenever you're ready, you can just drop your hands back down.
然后我们可以用摩擦手的热量覆盖在我们的眼睛上。如果你想睁开的话，就让手指一点点松开，眼睛也开始眨起来，让光线慢慢进来。什么时候你准备好，就可以把手放下了。
Perfect. We are ready for Dr. Dorothy to start. I'm going to share the screen and then pass it over to her.
Thank you so much, Nahal. You know, I was so excited that today I would get to talk to all of you on Nahal's invitation, because every time Nahal invites me to have a conversation, incredible blessings come my way. So every time I'm a little excited, like what's the blessing going to be this time that I talk to her? And I think I found it in this little meditation that we did at the beginning and the information you shared, that when we pay attention to our food, it'll actually help our spiritual development. Isn't that interesting? And the reason is because of this that you mentioned, that each part of our body is a love for something. So in the center of our body, our stomach, that's maybe our love for food or our anxiety. And it's also connected to our brain. And so if there's anything that's not at peace in our brain, usually it'll make us eat more. So if we pay attention to our patterns in food, we'll actually discover lots of information about what's making us upset, things that we need to change. And isn't that a blessing where we can pay attention to something so physical, which is what am I eating? Why am I eating? What time am I eating? And this actually helps us grow and learn about very deep things like our emotional connection to our creator or to our neighbor or to our friends or our family. So it's a blessing, and purifying our heart will then help us.
Okay, Dr.
Also
Dorothy,
clear our food.
pause. Pause for translation.
I get too excited. Sorry. Good idea. Thank you.
Don't worry, Nahal will help.
Marie is never worried.
Thanks, Nahal. Dorothy 医生刚才说，其实每一次Nahal邀请他都特别开心，因为他发现就是每一次就好像会得到一种祝福，然后他这一次终于发现说，在刚才我们做的这个冥想之后，他发现其实当我们谈论食品的营养的时候，其实这个会带来很多灵性的发展，这个是不是很有趣呢？所以刚才当Nahal提到说，我们身体的各个部位其实都会去爱不同的人。那其实因为我们的胃是在我们身体这个所有部位的中心，同时它又与大脑连接，所以当我们感觉到不平静的时候，有的时候我们会吃的很多，然后有的时候当我们不开心的时候，对，就是吃很多东西，所以这就会让我们开始思考说，我们生活哪些部分是不是需要开始变化了？那其实这难道不是一种祝福吗？所以当我们情绪产生变化的时候，我们身体会产生变化。就是为什么我们要吃这么多东西呢？然后我们就会改变呀，去成长呀，会去学习呀。对，有没有补充的？好，
没有。
Amazing, Maria. You're amazing.
If it's that long again, it wouldn't be too amazing. Okay?
Shorter one.
I've been warned. I was just so inspired because this is what I've just learned right now. And I'm so excited to share it with you all, because I think when we share something is when we really learn it deeply. So now I'm going to
就是觉得很Dorothy 觉得很受启发，因为她觉得当跟大家分享的时候，其实才是会是一个深度学习的机会，所以她真的很开心。
所以刚才激动的说了很长的话。Yeah.
So integrative medicine has been around for many years. Aristotle was one of the first holistic physicians who believed that the person is a combination of both physical and spiritual properties, and that there's no separation between the mind and the body. So if you hear this now, don't be surprised. It's not new information. It's ancient and it's true. So they're all so connected that if we get sick in our body, we should wonder, what is going on in my mind? Where can I change the way I'm thinking to then heal my body? And this is a very powerful kind of medicine that I think goes above taking pills or even changing certain lifestyle. If we realize what we're thinking and we change what we're thinking, this has a very deep healing effect in our whole body.
那其实，整合医学其实它是一个历史很悠久的这样子的一个医学的观念了。其实，如果大家就是这个整合医学提到，就说人的肉体和灵魂其实是不可分的，也就是身体和精神是不可分的。所以，如果大家看到这个观点的时候，其实千万不要觉得很惊奇，因为其实它是很久远了。我们可以看到，对，从公元前这个就可以开始了。那所以当我们身体生病的时候，其实我们第一应该想到的就是我们的精神是哪里出了问题。所以如果我们的精神得以医治，这个身体也会得以医治。所以这就是这个精神方面的这个改变，其实是最强有力的药。有的时候我们可能会吃药，有的时候我们可能需要改变我们的生活方式或者我们的思维模式，这样才能会影响到我们身体的变化。
So a few patients say no, there's no relationship between my high blood pressure and my mind. But now, more and more with the research, we find how a thought can then constrict the blood vessels and make your blood pressure go up. So, yes, the brain is connected to your high blood pressure, to your diabetes, or any condition that is affecting your thyroid. And this is also wonderful because if you do exercise, you can also influence your brain. So, it's a two-way path. The things you eat, the exercise you do will also help your brain feel happier. So it's not just one way where your brain is affecting your body, but your body, and if you're clean and you've had a nice leafy vegetable breakfast, your brain will also feel happier.
所以如果有一个病人，就是否认，比如说他的这个思想跟他的 hyper what，
就是高血压还有糖尿病。
好的，如果一个病人否认他的身体跟他的高血压是有关系的话，那的确我们可以看到说，这个思想就是会带来这个改变，会影响他的甲状腺，或者有的糖尿病人也不承认，就是他的这个病和他的这个思想之间的关系，这个道理都是相同的。所以，如果他的思想出现问题，可能就会引起他的血压升高，呃比如说，如果我们早晨对我们身体和我们的精神之间的关系，就是如果我们今天早晨的早餐吃的很营养，也很干净，那其实我们的大脑也会感觉到很开心。
然后他刚才也说了一句，就是科学已经验证了，那个假如说你有一个思考或者一个想法，然后它会怎么样的，就是控制你的这个血管，它会压缩它，所以确实是这个想法跟这个高血压是有紧密的这个关系。
So, and I don't want this to make anyone feel guilty because some of my patients, when I tell them there's this big link, and then they're like, oh, so it's all my fault that I have my blood pressures high. It's not my inheritance. So this is not meant to make you feel guilty, but more to feel empowered. So this information should be useful to say, okay, I don't have to believe that I can't control this and then I'll have to take pills for the rest of my life. But it actually gives you power to control your own health through controlling your mind. And I don't think you should do this on your own. Definitely do it with your physician and always control your blood pressure and do exercise, etc. Don't stop taking your medication. Also, that's not my my message. Keep taking your medicine and also work on the mindfulness and find a way to balance them.
那其实当我们抛出这个观点的时候，不希望有任何的朋友就感觉到有罪恶感，说啊天呐，这全是我的错，就是原来是因为我这样想，才会产生这样子的病，不是这样子。而其实这种想法，或者这个观点其实是赋能给大家的，就是反倒让大家能够理解说，原来其实我没有必要那样子去思考，或者没有那样必要去看待这个信息。所以其实是给予我们一种，让我们知道我们是有力量来，控制我们的这个心里所想的。当然就是这个用精神的这种理解你自己的病例的这种方法，也是需要跟医生一起来操作的，不是我们自己可以的。同时呢，比如说运动啊、吃药呀， 这些也是必不可少的，让我们一起来找到这个平衡的方式。
So the first obstacle to change usually is a lack of awareness. And so
那
I'm so happy all of you are here today. I'm sure this is because you're curious on the topic, and this is the first and most important step.
那其实第一个就是能让我们能够改变的障碍，就是我们缺乏这个意识。所以今天很开心，就是能看到大家来参加，说明大家有这个好奇心来去看看到底是什么影响到了我们这种变化。
So first step, we need to be curious. So there are 6 basic human needs, and one of these may be threatened, and that's the reason for any bad habit. So perhaps if today we're talking about nutrition and we all know what we should be eating, but we're eating something else. So instead of judging ourselves, we need to be super curious and think, okay, what am I feeling right now? Which of these human needs is being threatened? Is it I'm feeling uncertain? Am I too bored? Is it I feel like there's no real connection between me and my family? If I'm here or not here, it's the same. Maybe I'll take a
嗯。
pause.
那第一条其实就是这种确定性。其实这上面列出的这6点呢，是人的6大需求那这6大需求，比如说第一个就是，比如说坏的习惯，就是我们今天要谈到的，比如说有的时候我们很坏的一个习惯，就是我们对于营养的认知，本来我们应该吃什么，可是我们就可能没有吃对。另外一个我们的感觉是什么，就总是要问自己，我是不是比如说保持一种好奇，或者我是不是觉得很无聊，或者我是不是跟我家人的这种心灵的连接不是很紧密，就是总是要问自己我现在的感觉是什么。
Or perhaps I'm missing connection. Like I haven't had a really good conversation with someone in a long time and I'm missing the love and friendship. Or these last 2 are the most important because sometimes we can do without certainty if we have these last 2. So these are the ones we really need to pay deep attention to. And one is growth. Our mind needs to grow. So we need to be learning something new. And if we're not, it really doesn't go well. And the last one is we need to have a clear sense of purpose. Why do I live? What's the big goal in my life?
那有的时候可能是比如说我和家人的这个缺失，可能意味着比如说我跟他的交流受到了阻碍，或者我跟我的爱人之间，或者我的朋友之间。另外我们可以在这个表上看到呢，就是最后的这2项成长和目的是非常重要的，因为人总是需要成长的。有的时候我们如果不成长，可能就会产生不愉悦的感觉。另外一个呢，如果我们对于生活的目的不清晰的话，比如说我们生命的目的是什么，也会给我们带来麻烦。
And the exciting thing is that just paying attention curiously, why am I eating this snack late at night? Is actually feeding our 5th need, which is growth. We need to be learning and growing. And by being curious, we're feeding this. So often the curiosity is so exciting to our brain that it forgets that it wanted to snack because we're like, why am I snacking? And then it gets so excited in the thought that it forgets that you wanted to snack. So curiosity feeds the 5th one, which is growth.
嗯，有的时候可能我们会要注意一下，比如说如果我们晚上很晚还在吃零食或者吃夜宵，那这个可能是跟我们第5点成长有关系的，所以要保持这种好奇心，就是让我们的大脑去思考我为什么现在会吃这个东西，而其实这个好奇心也会滋养到我们的这个第5点关于成长的这个需求。
So now we will go into how to pay attention. And this is using mindfulness techniques and research done at Harvard University and around the world using mind anatomy. So the first thing we'll analyze is the reward-based learning cycle.
那接下来大家在这个我们接下来要谈论的就是我们该如何，比如说改变这个状态，如何注意到这个。那这个研究呢，就是基于奖励的这个学习周期，是由哈佛大学研究出来的，所以不光是我一个人在用，全球很多人都在用。
So first thing, our behavior is conditioned by a previous experience. So the reason we're doing this is conditioned by what we've done before, and we're based on a reward. That's why we do it. So let's say the worm in the bottom of the ocean is hungry. So it looks for food, it finds the food, it likes the food. So next time it's hungry, it goes to the same spot. And this is very primitive brain functioning. It works for all of us. It's all about the reward. So we'll do something because we know that the reward is coming.
那我们可以看到说，我们的行为其实是受之前的经验的这种制约的。假设我们饿了的话，我们就会去找东西吃，然后我们就会饥饿的这个感觉就会得到缓解，也就是会有饱腹感。那其实所有人的行为都是会受到这个奖励机制的，就是我会做这个，然后我会解决到这个问题，也就是得到一个奖励。
So if we want to change a behavior, we need to know why we're doing it and what we're expecting from it, because sometimes they don't match. And this is what we want to find. If we want to change a behavior, our key moment will be when we're like, oh, I'm doing this because I'm bored, but as I'm eating, I'm not feeling any more excited. So the moment you realize this, that's the end of the behavior. Maybe you'll do it 1 or 2 or 3 more times or 8 more times. But every time you'll pay attention and notice even more that the boredom didn't go away with the chips or whatever. And so that's the end of it. As soon as you realize why you're doing it and it doesn't match, then you're done.
有的时候呢，当我们想改变的时候，其实我们就得去找出，比如说我们到底该怎么做，以及为什么这样做。但是我们会发现，很多时候可能我们想找出的那个结果和我们当下的这个行为，其实并不是匹配起来的。比如说，有的时候或者是想东西，我们可能做1次、2次，或者这样吃到第8次的时候，那我们其实可以注意到，就算我吃多次，但是我那个无聊不会因为我吃薯片而得到缓解。那如果当我们意识到这个的时候，其实就可以改变了。
So I'm trying to switch now to the next one. If you could help me switch it back, Nahal.
Sure.
Now we're going to talk about functional brain anatomy. So before that, they scan the brain. They find that we have 7,000 thoughts per day. Of these, 70% of them are negative, like survival, fear thoughts. And most of them repeat daily. So this is teaching us that we can't really trust our thoughts, and we must be curious because we'll be able to weed out the false thoughts the more we identify them.
那这个接下来看到我们的大脑进行了这种功能性和自动正扫描结果是，我们每天大概有5万到7万个想法，然后其中70%是效益的，其中95%呢又是重复的。
And this was very first read this information because I thought my thoughts were true. Did you guys hear Nahal?
Yeah, it's a bit choppy.
Yeah.
I can hear it, but
Okay,
it's like a little
okay.
bit or at least it's on my end. Does everyone else hear it smooth, or are you hearing it choppy too?
Right, this noise
Choppy.
Choppy.
Choppy. I cannot hear almost anything. It's
Okay.
cut. That's why I turn off my camera and voice to see if we become better, but it still is not.
Yeah, actually, maybe I'll stop the screen share for 1 second, and we'll see if it will work better if everyone turns off their video. And see, I for one need to stop my video. Okay, let's see if that makes it a little better. Okay, everyone here? Oh,
Yeah.
this is not the right.
I
So
think you're fine. I think it's Dorothy's
okay.
signal.
So basically, we need to doubt our thoughts. That's the message. Be curious and don't trust what you're thinking. Next one.
Just let me put this down.
Mm.
So
That's
next,
the brain anatomy. Yes.
this one.
So the brain anatomy shows simplified anatomy. We see that there are parts of the brain, the modern brain, which is unique to humans, which is the frontal part of our head, and the primitive brain, which we share with animals. And
Okay,
the functions.
Dr. Dorothy, I think it's still a little bit choppy. How about I stop the chat and I will start it again and then everyone log in the same. Log back in. Or maybe Dr. Dorothy and Maria, you guys can log back out. You guys can log out and come back in because it might be on your end.
Okay.
Dr. Dorothy, can you hear me? Okay. She left. Should I sing a song for everyone? I'm just kidding. Oh my goodness.
But your side is good. Can you hear very well?
Yeah, I think I can hear you guys. How about you guys? How about the rest of you? Does anyone else want to talk and just try and see if the connection?
Hi, Nahal.
Hi.
Hi, Nahal. Can
Hi,
you hear me?
Don. Yes, I can hear
Hi,
you.
Nahal.
Great. Good to see
And
you
do you
here.
sing a song?
So nice to see you.
Hi, Dorothy. It's wonderful to
wonderful.
see you.
What a
Alright.
joy.
Hello, I'm good.
Okay, so let
How's
me.
the connection? Is it better now?
So much better.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's great.
And
Good
let-
idea, Nahal. I wonder if
Okay.
it's related to my camera. If I turn on the camera, is it worse?
Well, it's I can see you and hear you fine now, so that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I was just saying that if we look at our brain anatomy, we can oversimplify it to say there's a modern brain, which is our human brain, and our primitive brain, which is our animal brain. And what's fascinating is the frontal part of our brain has functions like empathy, insight, intuition, and our primitive brain has fear, anger, stress. Do people want me? And most of the thoughts that will get us to eat, overeat, or starve ourselves or something will probably be coming from our limbic brain. So this is where I was fascinated by what Nahal said at the beginning, where everything is so connected. Actually, by paying attention to our eating habits, we can help heal our emotional connections with people around us. And it'll help us weed out which thoughts are coming from our limbic brain and which ones are actually human thoughts.
正如图上所表现的，比如说我们从功能性解剖学来看，那整个边缘大脑其实是带给人类很多情感的这个工具。那可以看到，比如说无论是我们的恐惧、愤怒、内疚，还是我们的同情、爱、直觉、感恩，都是来自于这个部分。然后有没有补充？
No.
我应该关了摄像头吗？
不用关，你可以的。Yeah. No, I think now is everything's fine. So continue.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So let's switch the slide, Nahal. Maybe you could help me because mine is not switching.
Sure.
Good. So now we put it all together. And if we want to trace one of our thoughts and see if it's coming from our frontal lobe or our back, and if it's true or false, we put all these ideas together. And if it makes us feel happy, it's probably coming from our human brain. If it's making us feel sad, angry, guilty, it's probably coming from our animal brain, and we should not trust it.
那我们接下来来看一下，就是我们大脑的前部和后部这种把所有的连接在一起的感觉。有的时候如果我们觉得很开心， 的这种感觉，可能是应该是来自于我们的头部。那有的时候就是觉得可能很伤心或者是不舒服的感觉，一般是来自后面，也就是我们的动物大脑的这个部分。
So these are some tools we can use to analyze our eating behavior. And so we should put on the, let's say the behavior would be some type of nutritional behavior that we want to change would be at the bottom. And we need to identify why and how it feels every time we do it.
那接下来是一些工具，我们平时能够遇到的，然后它可以帮助我们分析我们比如说应该怎么吃啊，或者怎么改变我们的行为啊。
And then once you find the reasons, you can change them. So I'm going to give you an example of one of my patients who is a teacher, and she noticed that when she was grading her students' exam papers at night, she would want to eat chips. And so her homework was to pay attention why she was doing it and how she felt as she was doing it. So if you could please help change to the next one, Nahal.
Sure.
那比如说，如果我们发现，比如说，想找到一个，事情的原因，并且想改变它，我们一起来看一下。我们举一个例子，我有一个，这是我的一个病人，他是一位老师。那他发现他在晚上批卷子的时候，经常是特别想吃薯条的，所以他特别想知道，就是为什么他在批作业的时候，想吃薯条，想吃薯片。
薯片。
So for her, she found the trigger was work, and she would do it because she felt like it wasn't fair that she had to do this so late at night. So it was her reward to eat it, and she was doing it to get the work done, because if she didn't have the chips, she wouldn't grade the papers. And so this was excellent.
所以他发现呢，就是这好像就是触发他去判作业的一个点，就是比如说吃这个薯片呢，是对他来讲是一个奖励，所以如果没有这个奖励，他就不想批作业，因此这就是为什么他要吃这个薯片。
So the interesting part is you don't ask yourself just why you're doing it, but also how it feels when you're doing it. And these two questions are very important, because if they don't match, that's where your change will come. So when she realized how she thought the reward is great taste, she's going to feel relaxed. But in fact, what was really happening was her stomach felt so full, and she had a hard time sleeping, and she just didn't feel good the next day. So that's the moment she realized that there was a mismatch.
那其实我们要问自己的2个问题，第一个就是我们为什么要比如说吃东西或这样做，而第二个的问题也很重要，就是我们如何改变它。所以如果这2个excuse me，如果这2个 thanks， 如果这2个问题如果不匹配起来的话，我们也很难改变。比如说对于刚才这个病例来讲呢，虽然他得到的这个奖励是他可以吃薯片，可是呢，后来他会发现胃很难受，然后晚上也睡不着，第2天呢也就是很不舒服。所以这2个，比如说为什么做它和如何解决它，这个并没有匹配起来。
And the second step, as you saw in the tool, there are 2 squares. The second square, once you realize these 2 questions, is to classify where the thoughts are coming from. So her reasons why she was doing this, one was to get the work done. So this is where you use the thought classifier, and you try to find which part of your brain is this thought coming from. To get the work done sounds like fear, like maybe she's afraid that she won't work unless she eats the French fries. So then we know that what's dominating her in that moment of her decision is really the limbic brain. It's the back part of her brain, not her frontal lobe that's intuition and wisdom. She's like, I know I'm a good teacher, I can do this. That would be her frontal lobe. But it's actually fear. She's afraid she won't do it, and that's why she's eating the French fries.
那其实我们在接下来的这个表格里面可以看到，对，就是这个表格里面，就是他为什么会做这个事情呢？他其实是来自于他的一个想法，就是如果其实他是很害怕自己完不成，那这个害怕的这个感觉其实是主导了他的思想。那其实这个是属于我们的第一自我本能，或者我们的就是后脑，就是动物脑的那个部分。那其实最好的就是我们的直觉，最好的做法就是我们的直觉，是因为我是一个好老师，我想把这个事情做好， 然后有没有补充？
That was good.
Or the second one, she was doing it as a reward for herself. This one sounds like a little bit of anger, maybe like she feels it's not fair that she needs to be grading these papers so late at night, that she needs a reward to do it. So as we look very closely at these emotions, we can trace them back. So why am I angry? And maybe the next step, I'll tell you in the next slide. So then, yeah.
Too much
Lovely,
suspense.
lovely. 就是那其实有这种恐惧或者害怕，其实如果我们仔细来想一想，并且追溯它的话，那好，追溯什么来着？就追溯它的话，其实我们会来到就是我们的第二个 trace back to
if we find it's like anger, she's angry, she has to do it. So 2.2 is like she's doing it as a reward. Really what it's showing is that she needs a reward because this is not fair, that she needs to do this at night or it's extra or something. So she's angry deep down that she has to do this.
OK， 所以其实如果仔细想的话，就是还是有一种就是不开心或者愤怒在里面，因为就像我们图表这个2.2，它并不是2.2，而是说为什么比如说我晚上还在加班工作，就是其实是来自这个不满。
So as you see, this is the tricky part where we need to look deep, not just what the obvious answer is, but actually after we get our list out, then we look at this little list classifier and be like, okay, am I feeling happy or sad with this? I'm upset. So if I'm upset, is it guilt? Am I feeling guilty, angry, or fear? This is how we use this tool.
那其实我们这个工具的这个用法其实它是就比如说我们刚才分析这个事情的这个原因的时候，其实是非常难搞的，因为有的时候我们可能看到的是一个表面的原因，而如果我们仔细把它再分类的话，就是到底是开心还是难过，还是有罪恶感，还是有恐惧，所以其实我们的第二个这个工具是会帮助到我们。
And so the next step, once we find it's our lizard brain or our primitive brain, then we have the choice to switch it. And so that's what we'll do in the next slide. If you can help me switch it, Nahal.
Sure.
那所以我们下一步呢，就是要分清我们那个思想是来自于我们大脑的哪个部分。一旦我们分清了，我们其实就可以把它们转换一下。
So this is where our human brain is so useful because it can come up with these great ideas like, I love to teach. I really love to teach. And that moment, we don't need a reward for doing it because it's rewarding in itself. Or thinking, wow, it's not easy. Have some empathy. It's not easy to have to stay up so late. This is really hard.
那其实这个就是我们大脑其实是非常非常有用的，就是所以如果分析了之后呢，你可能会感觉到说，其实是我还是爱这个工作的，只是呢这个工作的这个内容其实是不容易的，就是有点艰难的，因此你就是可以把这些分析出来。You understand Chinese?
I do a little. I love your Chinese. So as we do this, the whole feeling in our heart will change and we no longer will need the snacking or the other harmful behaviors, perhaps, as we understand deeply where the feelings are coming from.
如果我们一旦就是用心理解到，比如说这个背后的原因，我们就没有必要去用薯片来帮助我们缓解情绪，或者用其他的方法，因为我们理解自己的这个感觉是来自于哪里了。
So perhaps some of you are wondering why I talk so much about late night snacking. And I think it's because this is one of the most important, simple nutritional tips where we should time our eating. We should not eat at all time during the day or during the night, because lots of research is finding that if you stop eating with the sunset and then you don't eat until the sun rises, this actually helps your body heal. It reduces inflammation, reduces long-term risk. And so if there's one thing you want to change about your diet, you still want to eat all the food you like, etc., you could choose timing your eating, like don't eat after sunset. And you'll find you feel so much healthier in the morning when you wake up.
那其实可能一些朋友就是现在就想说，哎，你为什么一直都是在谈论这个晚上吃薯片的这件事情？ 事实上就是，一旦我们开始去，停止，就是因为营养和饮食是有着直接的关系的，所以其实比较好的方法就是日落之后就不再吃东西，这个其实会治愈我们身体很多很多的，问题，这个也是大量的研究表明的，而且会减少，身体各方面的压力。所以这个饮食如果有一个时间的限制的话，我们是会生活得更健康的。
Nahal, could you help me switch this slide?
Sure.
So after saying all that, don't worry if someday you eat late at night, it's okay, because we can't let our primitive brain get activated and feel guilty. So just be curious, be like, why am I eating today? There's something that's bothering me, or I'm feeling bored. Am I angry at someone? Am I missing my friends? Why am I eating? So instead of being angry at yourself, be very curious, like, what is the reason? And as you ask these questions, you'll find fascinating answers that are the key to changing behavior. So each time you change and you don't do what you thought you wanted to do, and you don't follow the healthy diet you wanted to eat or the exercise routine, just be curious. And there you'll find answers that will guide your path, as it's a path. It's a long path to healing and health and happiness.
那其实如果我们有的时候，假设我们晚上要多吃一点东西的话，就是不要让自己就是产生这种负罪感，不要让我们的这个前脑，要让我们的前脑去想说我为什么这样子做。有的时候，只有当我们这样子去问自己这个问题，才可以得以解决。
So we can switch.
You can do it.
And that's all. Yay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I'd love to hear any questions or comments if we have time.
Yes, definitely. I think this is going to be the major. Now we can turn on our cameras, guys, and see each other. So I really wanted to just go over and summarize what you just talked about, because I don't know if I got that, even though I know this process. Just the order of everything. So first you identify a behavior, right?
Correct.
Then you do what? Then you
So
ask
once
why.
you've chosen, yes, why am I doing it? And you write it down.
Okay, one second.
然后呢，现在想整个把我们这个讲座呢，就是这个程序过一遍，温习一遍，总结一下哈。所以然后说这个顺序是第一步呢，就是先辨别自己的行为。第二步呢，是要问自己我为什么会这样做。
Okay, so step 2 is why, right? Step 2 is why. And then step 3 is...
So actually, I would go back a little.
Okay.
Perhaps step number 1 is you put the behavior at the bottom of this circle. So it's the circle at the bottom. You put the behavior, which is, let's say, late night snacking.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the right-hand side, you need to put the triggers.
Oh, the trigger.
So this is very important. You need to know the triggers first to kind of guide you. So let's say it's every time I have to grade papers late at night, I'll be eating. So once you get the trigger out of the way, that'll help you answer the why question, because you have something to guide your why. You're like, so what is it about grading papers that makes me eat the chips? And that's where all these emotions will come out. You're like, because it's not fair. I'm working 8 hours and here it's midnight and I'm still working. Or perhaps you'll be feeling, I miss my family so much at night, or I don't know. So the first thing would be the behavior, then the trigger, and then the why. So that would be number 3.
Step 1 is behavior. Go for it, Maria.
OK， 所以第一步呢是先把这个行为，大家还记得之前那个图表吗？先把行为放到这个图表的最下方，然后接下来呢是把我们触发的这个动机放在右边。也就是比如说拿刚才的这个例子来讲的话，就比如说为什么我要在晚上批作业？也许是因为比如说我有一些情绪，所以我们就会产生很多情绪。也许是因为我想念我的家人，也许会我觉得这样子很不公平，就是我为什么要在晚上批作业？所以还是要放到那个图表里来看。
Okay, so step 1 is behavior. Step 2 is identify the trigger to that behavior. Then step 3 is why. Step 4 is see how it feels in your body, right?
You can do that, or you can, if you want to stay there for a little bit, you could number out, is this a fear? Is it guilt? Or is it anger? Like, is it is it a 2.1, 2.2, 2.3? You can send out these handouts. So if people want to know what the numbers mean.
For
But
sure.
that is so useful. Sometimes just getting that far, you've already done more than enough work for one moment. But if you have time and you have like half an hour, so you've listed out your maybe 10 reasons, don't stop at 2. Usually you can find like 10 reasons why you're doing something.
Yeah.
And then you number them all, and hopefully you get a 70-30 percentage where your brain is 30% human and you do have some gratitude, some intuition in there, and those will be useful when you're trying to switch the thoughts. But maybe most of the, because it's maybe a negative behavior, most of the feelings of why you're doing this may be negative. And just identifying them will help you then do the next step, which is you go to the other side and you're like, so how does it feel as I'm eating this? And then you see it match.
那如果第3步是我们就问自己为什么，第4步呢，就是要看，比如说我们自己的感觉是什么，然后是这样问的。然后Dorothy 呢说，就是也许你可以就保持自己在那个情绪里，或者呢，你可以把自己这个情绪归一下类。我们刚才在那个 2.1、2.2、2.3里面其实是有归类的。有的时候这样做非常有用。你可能如果有半小时的时间呢，就需要列出来，比如说你这样子的感觉，就是有10个感觉，你的感觉的10个原因。有的时候可能70%是 70% is
like negative thoughts usually. This is normal. So negative brain.
Yeah， 所以有的时候70%可能是会比较消极的想法，就是后脑产生的，可能30%仍然有我们的直觉呀、爱呀或者感恩呀。所以这是我们的第4步。那第5步呢，就是把这个感觉去换到另一侧，也就是去用我们前脑的那些好的感觉来和它交换掉。
So for me, when I was learning the circle, it wasn't helpful because then every time I had an emotion, I had to draw a circle to understand like where it was going. So I ended up doing it as like a column so that I could do it like so many emotions. And so for me, I'm like trying to get the column down. So step 1 is your behavior, right? Like what's happening. And then you list, I would list out a whole bunch of stuff. Then it would be the trigger to that. And it would be the trigger for each one of those emotions sometimes. Sometimes it would just be like one trigger or something like that. But then the why would have so many, of course, again, just like you mentioned, like listed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it was a lot. And then step 4, you said, how does it feel? Like, what does it feel to like feel all these emotions? And so that was like, it didn't have that many, meaning like my chest hurts, my throat hurts, I'm swallowing, like I'm sweating, or like my heart's palpitating or whatever. And then step 5 is the reward, is to identify the reward for feeling those emotions. Is that correct?
So in
Wait a
this
minute.
case, you want to try?
那然后就说他平时其实是会自己用这个圆圈法来画这个圆圈来找出比如说解决自己的问题的。有的时候他会基本上会列出来一大一个就像一个目录一样的。所以他又总结了一下说，首先呢我要看我的行为，找出我这个行为。第二个呢我就是列出来为什么我会有这些行为。第3个呢就是我会找到这个触发每一个行为的原因，有的时候是一个原因，有的时候是每一个行为都有一个原因。然后第4点呢，我会问，比如说我自己为什么会感到这个，我自己的感觉是什么？有的时候可能我为什么会出这么多汗呀，或者我为什么有这样那样的感觉？第5个呢，就是我们的奖励，就是我做这个事情的奖励是什么？是这样子的吗？他问 Dorothy。
This is amazing. It's a work in progress. It's getting even better. So I think that the most important, it should be something you could do in a second. So I don't want to make it sound very complicated because it's something that you'll be doing in your daily life. And you'd be right in the moment that you're feeling it. You could just be like, okay, why am I feeling like this? And the answer comes and you're like, aha, it's an aha moment. So it doesn't have to be that complicated. But if you want to take one part of this wheel with you, I would say take the why. Just take the why question. And then often we'll remember what behavior we're trying to change. So often patients use this for smoking cessation. So they're smokers and they'll use it just for smoking. So every time they smoke a cigarette, they ask themselves, why this cigarette? And then they'll have a list of 100 reasons why they're smoking that cigarette. So I would say it's best to keep it to one behavior initially, just as we're getting familiar with the system. And then we can move it to, and what Dr. Judson Brewer found, this Harvard researcher, was that his patients who were trying to quit smoking also quit snacking, which was the opposite of what usually happens with people who quit smoking. Usually they start eating more to replace the anxiety covering behavior, which was the smoking. So that's why it's fascinating with this just why question. You'll cover many behaviors, but perhaps as an initial target, just look at one, what you want to change, and just focus on that one for a while.
那这个就是真的很特别奇妙，就是其实最重要的呢，就是我们不要把这个事情搞得这么复杂，因为它其实是每天我们可以做的，而且其实，比如说如果我们此刻的感觉到这个此刻就觉得很困难、很难过，那其实只需要问我为什么这样子，就是其实经常我们会遇到这样的时刻，然后比如说举个例子呢，就是在这些吸烟者里面，他们其实经常会，如果他们能够问自己为什么，有的时候我为什么此刻要吸这个烟，经常可能会得到100个原因，所以其实想用这个方法解决问题呢，我们最初的时候其实就先锁定这一个练习，就是总是问自己为什么，所以后来他们发现。哈佛大学就是发明这个的教授呢，他就发现说，他的这些病人里面，当他们能够练习我为什么要吸烟的这个思想的方式的时候，他们可以同时戒掉烟和零食。这也是他们觉得很奇妙的事情，就是因为很多人想戒烟的时候，其实他们会用零食来代替，但是正因为他们问了自己，比如说我为什么要吸烟，所以他们反倒可以同时去思考，比如说。这个背后的原因是什么？所以建议大家一开始只专注于去练习，问自己为什么。
Excellent. And then the other part that we must keep is the how does it feel? So we can match these two. So why? And then how does it feel in reality? So the smoker, for example, one of my patients, he said, I realized that I feel like I need to go to the toilet every time I smoke. I never noticed this before, but now I get this cramping pain in my stomach. So as soon as he got that one emotion, like that one physical feeling identified, then every time he was smoking, he would find it again. He'd be like, really, it does hurt. And that's the beginning of the end. As soon as you're able to find that eating the chips at night feels awful in the morning, your brain is so smart, it'll make you stop eating chips at night because it remembers that when you wake up in the morning, you feel so bloated, so groggy, so thirsty, all of that. So it's just the how does it feel is a very important part to keep also.
那其实另外一个我们必须在跟这个问自己为什么同时要问的另一个问题就是我的感觉是什么？比如说他的那个抽烟的那个病人，他发现了他每次上卫生间的时候，其实都想抽烟，然后其实这种情绪就会，然后是带来肚子疼嘛，所以他当他停止后，
对，抽筋，肚子抽筋的这种胀疼，胀疼，
对。那就像比如说晚上吃薯片一样，比如说虽然你晚上吃了薯片，可是第二天整个人比如说都比较胀啊，或者是比较渴呀，就当你能把这个感觉也记住的话，会更能帮助你识别自己这个行为。
Excellent. Excellent translating, Maria, really.
Not all the time.
It's amazing. What a good memory you have. Yes.
Okay.
So then if we want to use the thought classifier, this is where we'll find the deep reasons and help us change the why. But that is something we can do if we have more time. If like Nahal did, she wrote them all down. And this is where deep change happens. So I invite you to do this as well. But as you get started, perhaps just start with paying attention. Why in the real moment? Why am I doing this? How does it feel? Why am I doing this? How does it feel? Just keep to those two questions. And whenever you have time, you write it all down and then you use the thought classifier. Okay, is it my lizard brain or my human brain telling me this? And then you'll see sparks fly and you'll be like, wow, this is actually, I'm feeling this way about this. And so it all comes together and change just happens.
那其实就是我们在前面 PPT 中呈现的那个，就是思想的那个分类器的那个图表，就是非常有用的，因为它可以帮助我们找出深层的原因，就是我们为什么会这样子做。所以一旦我们注意到这个习惯的话，我们总是问自己2个问题，就任何时刻你都可以问啊，我为什么这样做？然后第2个问题就是，那我此刻的感觉是怎么样的？就是做这个事情的感觉是什么样？这样可以让我们。然后你觉得 lizard brain 怎么翻译比较好？我们的动物脑吗？
对，动物脑，
对，这样会，就是我们的动物脑和我们的人脑这2个就会互相帮助，来帮我们解决到这个问题。
So what are your thoughts, Nahal? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm confused. I don't know. It's like the thing is that for me, it's like, okay, the 2 that you said, the why and the behavior, got it, no problem. But then there's the reward at the end. And I found like identifying the reward of feeling these things was the gold. So it's like now, and then in the middle somewhere of this, you talked about the human and lizard brain identifying those. So I'm like, I don't know which step that is. I'm like, I had 5 steps and then I didn't have the step of identifying if it was in the lizard brain or in the other brain. So I'm confused now.
然后你可以
So actually, oh yeah, you want to try?
然后你可以自己先翻一下吗？
可以，就是刚才Dr. Dorothy 问我有没有其他问题，然后其实我还是不明白，因为一开始我刚才Dr. Dorothy 分享的2个例子就是先要去观看到底是为什么你有这个行为，这个明白了，然后另外要去解决你有这个行为之后的感受是什么，这我也明白了，但是之后他又说要分别到底是动物脑，然后是人脑发生的这个事情，然后最后其实我为什么想跟大家分享这个整个系列的问题，是因为其实最终我觉得很有意思的是，你最后要去辨别这些行为到底会给你什么好处，你做这些事情其实是为了是有一个好处的，所以你才会去做，所以你要是不去辨别它的好处，就是好像这一丝的内容至少对我来说你就是解决不了，所以你最后要去辨别那个reward 是最重要的。 So yeah, Dr. Dorothy, go ahead.
So I think finding the why, the reward is hidden. Often we have no idea, like why would someone smoke? But often they find that the reward is also hidden in the why. So I think those 2 are highly linked. As you take apart the why, you usually find the hidden reward. And then you find it doesn't match how it actually feels in real life. And that's how this cycle works. Now, I think you've mastered it. And this is what Dr. Judson Brewer came up with in Harvard, was how his patients quit smoking and quit their anxiety, because this is also an addiction to be anxious. So I think that's the part that is very well studied. And then the second part of identifying which part of our brain thoughts are coming from is actually taken from some experience with patients who are going through difficult times in their relationships with their partners, and they weren't seeing any light. And when we brought in this part, this component of like, which part of your brain is talking to you now, it really helped them overcome the anger, the fear, and find unity in their family, unity with their colleagues. So it has another level of connecting us to other people, perhaps also with ourselves, but with those around us. So I think they integrate nicely, but they're two different tools. Yes.
Marie, did you get that?
So Linda has a question. I'm so interested. Oh, translation.
Yes.
But like I came back in the middle.
I know.
mean, Daniel, let's welcome Daniel.
Go for it.
Linda has a question.
I didn't get that. To even translate into Chinese.
All right, well,
Maybe I'll summarize.
Daniel had his hand up first, so go
for it.
ahead.
I can try to translate some of what I understood.
Go for it, please, please. Yes.
我希望不会加上我自己的一些想法，因为我脑子里边在想我自己的东西，边在想 Dorothy 在说的。他的意思是，你刚才提出的这个最重要的希望，就是能得到的好处，其实不是隐藏的，然后跟那个为什么是隐藏在一起，所以如果把注意力放在这个为什么的问题，可能通过发现这个答案容易一点，发现后面对我有什么好处，而不是专门去找好处的是什么。就比如说我今天晚上不吃这个东西，多想到明天的感觉，而是多感觉现在我正在做的事情对我有什么原因。
Excellent.
Okay, now ask your question.
No, actually, I had my hand up before. I just noticed that I think that I feel that there's a shift in perspective, which actually Dorothy already answered, which is that one way of looking at things is to prioritize what is the greatest benefit. And I feel like drawing attention to my current experience now is more likely to unlock. I think it's easier to find the reasons that I feel good after being healthy. I think it's clear to all of us. It's also easy to know why it's bad for me. But it's not easy to take a breath in that moment and to feel it and to notice. And I think that practice can allow, and then waiting for the first, second, third, 10th reason to come up, rather than, which I think I also tend to look for a sequence in step 1, 2, 3. But I think that sequence of steps might be more flexible if we allow for the natural knowledge that we already have of what's good for us to come to fruition by just noticing what's happening now and asking questions.
自己翻译一下吧。
我像Nahal一样的喜欢
步骤
完全的
步骤一个一个一个
步骤一个一个的这个程序，从第一步到最后一步，但是通过一个现在注意力的练习，可以帮助我们就是联系到我们其实所有的人都已经知道的事情，就是我为什么会感觉不好吃这些东西，我为什么吃得好一点，明天会有多一点好处，大部分人都很清楚这些，但是这种练习这种习惯，当时的就是注意可能就是难一点，所以如果练习这些，对我们的好处会多。
Go for it, Linda.
Okay, so first I'm going to kind of summarize what I understand. And that is basically the outcome is that your brain will keep you healthy. So if you're in your primitive brain, basically the foods that you eat will not make you feel well, whether they bloat you, whether they cause you pain or difficulties or challenges. So I feel like in this, the brain itself will basically bring you to a state of awareness, because you're either going to feel unwell or you're going to feel well based on what you've eaten. And that is part of the trigger process.
那我想先来总结一下，我刚才听到的，总的来讲呢，其实我们大脑其实是会辨别出这些食物带给我们的痛苦的，就是大脑自己其实会带来这种觉察或者意识，就是我们吃到的这个东西，对，会带来什么样的影响，这就是我们的前脑可以带来的。
I'd like to hear the first part of what you said, Linda. I just missed the first line. If you could repeat it.
Okay, so for me, what I was trying to conceptualize is how the brain impacts us moving forward, in terms of where Nahal was talking about. She lost that one component. You know, she got all the 5 steps, but then the middle part of it. And I felt like that what I got out of it is that in the outcome, the brain will keep us healthy. And that's why eventually our bodies, as we look at the habit, figure out what the trigger is and the why, and the see how it feels in our body and the reward. And that one other part of it is that the brain itself can differentiate between the healthy food and the unhealthy food, if I understand this correctly. And that's where the shift and change will occur.
That's amazing.
Dorothy 医生就是又问了一下，比如说 Linda 的这个问题的这个第一个部分，所以 Linda 又总结了一下。总的来讲 ，Linda 还是在说，比如说是不是我们的大脑，当他问自己为什么这样子做的时候，其实会有一种激发出一种思想，就是大脑自己就可以辨别出哪些是健康的，哪些是不健康的。
I love this. So I love what you said, Linda, because, you know, we're surrounded by marketing. So we're told we need to drink 3 glasses of milk a day, and we're told that we need to have this brand of bread in our house because it's enriched with this and this and this. And so some of us, we're 30, we're 40, and we don't know we have milk intolerance. We just never figured it out. And we just thought, no, I have gastritis or some sort of abdominal bloating. Like that's me. But then we stop drinking milk, and then we drink it again. We're like, oh my goodness, it's the milk. Who would have thought? Like, everybody's telling me I need milk for my bones. So I love it that we know that our brain can keep us healthy. We just need to give it a chance. Like everything we do, pay attention. How do I feel when I do this? I kind of feel sick. What could it be? Is it the milk? But it's not necessarily that I'm having bad thoughts about someone. Like, we don't have to go that deep. Maybe it's just the marketing has convinced me that this is what I should do and this is what's healthy, and it isn't. And so I need to just observe and pay attention and notice communication. What conversations help me? Which ones don't? Which foods help me? Which ones don't? When I exercise or I don't. Sometimes exercising feels good. Sometimes it doesn't. So really giving our brain that capacity it has and giving it that beautiful, it has the capacity, yeah.
Dorothy 说她真的好开心，Linda 能这样子去想，因为比如说有的时候我们早上起来喝个3、4杯牛奶啊，吃几片面包呀，可能等到我们大概30、40岁的时候，我们也不明白说为什么我们肚子会胀气。可是如果我们停下来不喝牛奶一段时间，然后我们再喝的话，我们肚子又胀气，才发现原来其实是这个牛奶带来的这个胀气。所以的确我们的大脑是有这种就是寻求健康的这种方式的这个倾向的，它是有这个能力的。如果我们去看的话，然后比如说还有例子，比如说有的时候可能别的朋友来拜访我们或者我们自己做运动，这些经历都会让我们再来反思说，也许拜访的时候我有些话该说，有些话不该说，或者我有的时候做某些运动是让我觉得很舒服，某些运动觉得不舒服。的确，大脑是有这个能力告诉我们这些的。然后有没有补充？
Okay, and then with that, I also realized that in our shopping, if we bring our frontal cortex to our shopping, and I'm grabbing something off the shelf, my question should be, why do I want this? Because then what we do is we don't bring it into our environment for us to reach for when we're having those challenges and difficulties. And I feel like we will actually become more aware of our challenges and difficulties if we don't have the habit or the crutch in the first place, because then we're not basically creating like an amnesia with the food. And then we can become more aware of what we're feeling in the moment because we've taken that out of the picture in our shopping process.
然后你来吗？
可以。刚才Linda分享说，就是你在做你在买东西之前，就是你在选的过程当中，你在超市里面在选的过程当中，你可以就是先想一下，我为什么要买这个东西，然后就是避免我们把这个食物就是带到我们家里面来，就是免得我们需要做那么多练习，就是去考虑一下为什么我们要去做这些东西。I think that's what. Was there anything else, Daniel? Maybe that if you wanted to add.
And now my question. Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that what's really exciting is that we just need to change something once for our new brain cells to connect. So our brain is growing at any time of our life. Before they used to think, oh, at 6, kids stop learning that fast. And it is true, it takes more time to learn things the older we get. But the good news is we keep learning no matter how old we are, and more so if we're doing exercise, because exercise increases the brain growth factor. But it just takes one time of acting differently in a setting that you've made a new connection in your brain, and this is a very exciting moment. That one time that you didn't get the thing that you wanted to get, you have a brain connection and it's going to work for you. So maybe after that, maybe one more time you'll take it, but the next time you won't, because you've already paved, 2 brain cells have connected, you've learned something, it's yours. So it's very exciting to see that happen in our lives. When we just change little things, our brain is growing.
就真的这个是特别特别有意思的，就是如果我们能够改变一次就是常规的做法的话，其实我们大脑就建立了这个连接。人们惯常来讲说，一般6岁的时候就停止学习了。一般6岁的时候人是学得最快的，但事实上，当我们随着年纪的增长，我们其实只是需要多一点次数，我们仍然可以学会，只是需要说持续的练习，也会持续的增长。而这个新的连接其实只做一次就建立起来了，我们已经把那个路就铺出来了，就是在我们这个前脑和后脑这2个大脑之间已经建立了这种连接，我们只需要做的就是一点一点来做。
每一次做我们都会做的比下次更好。
Okay, and the question I have, which I need more clarification, is it that after sunset, you wouldn't eat like the chips or the fries or that kind of stuff, or any meal in general? Because where I am in the United States, as winter comes on, sunset would occur at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's a long fast. So I'm thinking, if I understand it correctly, you would eat your daily meals in your daily schedules. And it's the concept of when it's not necessarily a healthier food, you would not do that. Yes?
那我还有一个问题，就是刚才我们提到说日落后不要再吃东西了。那我其实现在在美国所在的这个城市其实是3点就日落了，所以是3点之后就不再吃东西了吗？还是说我们平时日常的这个3餐的这个时间就应该遵守这个日落的习惯呢？
So where the sun sets at 3, then you need to look at your clock. But I personally, I've chosen 8 o'clock as my time to stop eating, and it's all year round, like winter or summer or spring. And so let's say I went to work and that day I'm working till late and I forgot to pack a dinner and I get home and I haven't had dinner. I actually don't eat most days because all the studies show that your body's used to eating at certain times. So at 6:30 in the evening, it already ate what it needed for that evening from its stores. So if you get home at 8:30 and then you're like, oh, but I haven't had dinner and you eat, you're actually overeating because your body already satisfied its needs from its inner storage. And so you don't need to eat again. You just go to sleep and wake up in the morning, have breakfast if you're having breakfast. And so, but you keep your nighttime is sacred to sleep. You need to have an empty stomach. And so you stop eating. And this is studied extensively. It decreases inflammation. And so it's not just the chips, it's anything. If you want to eat your chips at dinner time, that would be okay, I guess. Ideally, you'd have your vegetables, but if you want to eat any snacky food, whatever, it should be during mealtime, not after mealtime.
那其实，就比如说这个的确你得看，你看热可能是需要看一下这个表吧。然后呢，对于 Dorothy 医生自己来讲，他是常年4季都是8点之后不进餐的。你说假设如果今天下班晚了，那8点之前就没吃那也就不吃了，就一定是这个之后就不再吃。然后其实如果你晚上再吃的话，这个对身体其实并不是特别好，就是因为虽然你没有吃东西，但是你身体储存的能量其实已经给予了你这个胃的这个一个就是已经给予它了一个供给了，你其实是不需要再补充的。所以一般来讲就是晚上呢可能是空着肚子，然后早晨起来再吃，就是如果你有吃早餐的习惯的话。所以这个8点之后不只是不吃零食，就是什么都不吃这样子。
Awesome. Anyone else have any final questions before we end?
我们结束之前大家还有其他问题吗？
I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
我有一个
If we are talking about the snacking late at night and why the person is doing, but if somebody doesn't want to snack, doesn't want to do, and doesn't feel hungry, even in the morning, wake up is not hungry, is it okay to eat?
那如果比如说有一个人呢，他晚上也不吃零食，然后呢，其实他比如说有的时候他早晨起来他也不饿，他既不吃零食，他也不想吃饭，在他不饿的这个状况下，他还要吃东西吗？
I love your question. We could talk about it for hours, but we
这个问
won't.
题我们可以谈一整天，对。
So hunger is a sign of health. So whenever I feel hungry, I always think, wow, I'm doing well, I'm healthy. This is a good thing. So when I'm not hungry, I'm like, okay, I'm too stressed. I need to relax. I'm worrying too much. I need to stop worrying because I'm worrying so much my stomach can't work. So whenever we feel hunger, we should praise ourselves and be like, good job, stomach. In spite of all the stresses this world is throwing at all of us, you're still strong. And so if a lack of hunger is something we experience frequently, it's a time to take a pause, do some breathing like Nahal is teaching us, and inner meditation, and try to relax our whole adrenal system. And exercise is excellent. Just walking often strengthens our body and calms our anxiety or our fears or whatever, and helps our body get ready to eat. Now, fasting is wonderful for us.
Okay.
And this is another good.
对，其实有饥饿感呢，其实是身体健康的一个重要的标志。如果我们不饿的话，其实表明我们可能太有压力了。 这个压力已经让我们的胃不能正常的运转了。如果我们感到饿的话，其实我们应该表扬我们的胃说，嘿，你干得不错，说明我们的身体还很强壮。对，但是如果我们缺乏这种饥饿感的话，可能我们正在经历，比如说焦虑或者其他，那也许我们就需要暂停一下，然后去读读书啊，或者像跟乃浩一起做的这些冥想，或者我们去运动，运动的确比较好。就比如说散步呀，它会让我们驱除很多不安和焦虑，还有恐惧。那第二个就是斋戒，其实是非常有帮助的。
And now regarding not eating, we've been told our whole life that breakfast is sacred. You should just never skip a meal. If you go too long without food, this is bad for your body. But actually, research is showing that fasting is very good for the body and the mind. So we shouldn't feel forced like I have to eat because if I don't eat, I'm hurting my body. This is what I thought before I read all this research about nighttime no eating, because I would get home from work and I'd think, okay, I should have dinner because I've had such a long day at work. I need to have my dinner. No, you don't need it. If you're not hungry, don't eat. No one's forcing you to eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. You can wait for the hunger to come, and when it comes, you'll feel that you're attracted to healthy food, hopefully.
对，关于这个不吃呢，其实我们经常会听说，如果你不吃早餐，就是你或者你永远不要不吃早餐呀，这样子的说法。其实事实上很多研究表明，就是断食，也就是停止吃，其实对我们的身体或者精神都是很有帮助的，并不是我们不吃东西的时候就是在伤害自己的身体。有的时候，如果你不想吃晚饭或者感觉到不饿的话，其实是没有关系的，你就等待你的那个饥饿感到来再吃。
Jerry, did you have a question?
Yes.
Go for it.
Thank
Oh, you muted
Doc-
yourself, mother.
I have one.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Last closing thoughts.
Is a continue of this one. That's what.
Okay, maybe someone
I-
else can ask a question. It's almost time.
Okay.
Jerry, go for it.
Oh, okay. I want to ask Dr. Dorothy. So for babies, for children, we should follow the same rule that after sunset shouldn't eat.
Very good question.
What a good question. So I think this is something we should
1 second.
train. Fanny.
对于日落之后不吃东西这个原则，是对于宝宝们或者孩子们也是同样适用的吗？
So I have 2 kids, and sometimes we're out and they haven't eaten enough and they were just playing all day with their friends, and then they're hungry. They're like, Mommy, now we want to eat. And I'm like, oh, it's past 8. You guys know you shouldn't eat past 8. But sometimes they eat past 8 because they haven't eaten anything substantial. But as a rule, usually I say, okay, girls, it's 8. I'm so sorry you're hungry now. You should have eaten earlier when we were all eating. But now it's 8. And if you eat now, you'll have nightmares or you won't sleep very well. And this usually they're like, yeah, I don't want nightmares, so I won't eat. But now if you have a newborn and the baby's breastfeeding all night, that's fine. It's different. But if your child is 4 and 6 years old or 8, and they know that there's meal times and they're not undernourished, their health is fine, they can understand that there's certain times when we eat, and then after a certain time, it's not time to eat anymore. It's good for them to then not have to grow up and then start disciplining their times.
那其实因为我自己有2个孩子嘛，就有时候他们出去玩呀，跟朋友们玩，然后回来晚了，过了8点了，但是他们也会说，哎呀，我好饿呀。一般来讲，就是既然就是有这个规则，就是日落之后不要再吃，那我可能就会说，抱歉，你们就下次要早点吃呀，否则你们如果吃了的话，可能会做噩梦啊，睡不好啊，所以他们也就不吃了。但有时候也会让他们吃，所以就是作为一个原则，还是尽量来坚持。但如果你是在母乳喂养期间呢，那你其实就没关系，就是你这个肯定是不能遵守这个原则。但如果孩子已经是4岁、4、5岁，或 或者7、8岁了，而且孩子是处于一个健康的状态的话，让他们固定时间吃饭，其实对他们日后也很有益处，就是会养成很自律的习惯。
Okay. I think Maria has done a wonderful job. 谢谢 Maria， 你顶的时间很长，今天恭喜你，我给你敬个礼。I'm gonna salute to Maria because she has really been going at it for a really long time today.
I want to tell everybody now how is taking care of my everything is so well. Like she made me feel so relaxed, and also everybody here, Linda, Nahal's mom are always so patient, with my poor translation. And Dorothy, yes, your knowledge is so great, so precious, so attractive. I just can't leave.
刚才我们一直在说谢谢，不同的感谢话语。
First, Daniel, thank Daniel for his translation.
I know, that was good. He came in at the right time. 也非常感谢 Daniel 刚才就是帮我们翻译了。So I really wanted to thank everyone for coming for the Yoga Avec Moi Global Conference. Linda, especially, you made it for all 6 days. This is fantastic. We've had you, and Mother, you've come to many of them as well. Thank you for supporting me. And yeah, Jerry, you've also come to many. And thank you all so much for attending this final session. The replay will be on YouTube. 非常感谢大家，专门就是想感谢 Linda 还有我妈妈还有 Jerry， 就是他大概其每一个这个会议的这个参会就是都加入了，所以非常感谢大家，也非常想感谢现在的各位，就是来到我们今天的现场跟我们结束今天的峰会。So thank you so much. What I wanted to end with is just a reminder that all of the videos will be on YouTube. 我最后就是想提醒大家，所有峰会的视频都会就是上传到这个 YouTube 上。然后我现在也在找一个就是中国的平台，要不是哔哩哔哩，要不是微信博客当中，我现在还在想要是你们有办法的话，你也可以跟我分享，我可以试试，就是在国内的这些平台上也可以上传。
你看过小红书吗？
看过小红书，但是都是很短的，对吧？这个一个半小时的可以上传吗？ Yeah, it's like 对 it's like 1.5 hours of videos. It's hard to upload on any of the social media platforms. So I wanted to remind everyone, today is the last day to purchase the discount for the Yoga Avec Moi membership portal. Throughout the duration of the Yoga Avec Moi membership portal, we've been having a discount of 188 RMB and $28. So tonight at 11:59, that is in almost 2 hours, it will expire. So 我想提醒大家在峰会结束之前，这个联谊会员门户有一个折扣是188元和美金是28美金，然后今天晚上的11点59分就不会有这个价钱了，所以你要是还想来这个会员门户，想享受这个会员门户的折扣，就是今天晚上要买。So thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed these 6 days of conference. Let me know if you liked it, for us to know that if we should put it on next year. Already Linda at some point said this was an annual thing. It was not, but literally as you said it, I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have to make it into an annual thing now.
Well, wait, it was, this is your annual celebration for your
true.
1 year.
That's
true. What I was referring to.
But people could interpret that in many ways.
So if that's seeded plant, that's good.
我想非常感谢大家，就是来到我们这6天的这个峰会 请告诉我，就是你们喜不喜欢这6天的这些讲座，因为我可以想想明年要不要做。就是其中的一个会议当中 ，Linda 其实有感谢我们分享，就是你们每一年的会议是这样的。然后我都完全没有想到这是每年的会议，但是他说完之后，我说可能他这样说，我们以后就是要每年都要有这样的会议。所以你们要是喜欢的话，请告诉我，然后我可以想一想明年就是要不要再做。And if there is a topic that you guys like, please let me know what we should do next year. If you know now, 要是你们知道明年你们想要什么样的主题，你们可以现在告诉我，然后我可以从现在开始准备。So thank you all so much for coming. 非常感谢大家的到来。So tonight we're going to end here. Thank you, Dr. Dorothy, for all of your explanations. And despite my confusion, you did a wonderful job explaining. 非常感谢 Dr. Dorothy 的到来。虽然我中间就是没明白一点点，但是还是他的讲座就还是非常棒。So thank you all so much, and we're gonna end it today, and I will see you next year, hopefully, or I will see you next time. I'll see you in the membership portal. 下次我会跟大家在会员门户当中就是见大家。非常感谢 Dr. Dorothy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Dorothy.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.